Welcome to the Decide Your Legacy podcast. This is episode 199, and today we're going to talk about, stop avoiding this, 3 leadership decisions that change everything. I'm your host, Adam Gregg. I'm a coach and a family therapist, and I founded Decide Your Legacy in 2012. I started this specific podcast actually back in 2020 in the midst of COVID, and now we're near, 200th episode is coming up, and we're near 50,000 downloads. The mission is still the same. We help people, we help leaders stop avoiding what matters. We help leadership teams stop avoiding what matters and start taking meaningful action. So today, I work with business owners and leadership teams. We work with them, and often family businesses, where the real challenge isn't strategy, it's actually alignment. It's communication. It does apply to strategy. It's communication on on the conversations that they are avoiding. Because when those conversations happen, everything changes. Decisions get made faster, trust improves, execution follows. And so in each episode of the Decide Your Legacy podcast, I give you 3 decisions that you can make to move forward with practical tools, simple frameworks, and ideas that you can actually use and apply starting today. So listen like you're going to teach this to somebody else, even one of your kids. So let's go ahead and jump into the content. Here's the core idea today. Most leaders don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because they're avoiding the conversations that they know they need to have. They stay on the surface. And here's what that creates. And sometimes they are not aware of this. In fact, most of the time they're not actually aware of this. So it creates stress and anxiety for them. It creates a lack of clarity within themselves and for their team. It creates frustration. It creates slow decisions, and it erodes trust with other people. But on the other side of that, when you do face things, you grow in your confidence. Even though you may not be pleased with your performance, you're honest about it and you're facing it, and you are gaining confidence in the process. You're learning, you're gaining clarity, you're improving your relationships because trust is improving. And you actually have more free time because you're getting decisions made. You're getting things done. You're not stuck focusing on these elephants and not making progress. And profitability actually increases, which is a huge deal because profit is a sign that you're running your business well. It's a reward for running your business well, and it matters. And this topic matters. Little story I want to share with you, and it's hard for me to share. I had to face this actually today. So it hit me really hard, and in a way I actually didn't expect. So I've been doing this workout program called 75 Hard. You can look it up if you want to know. There's these specific things you do every day. It's very rigid, and it's a great process. It's something I've attempted 3 times, and I failed. I failed because I didn't get it done. And here's the story. I went through this process of 75 Hard the 3rd time, and I got to day 20, and I missed 2 workouts. And I'm doing this with my friend named Luke, business owner, great guy. I didn't want to tell Luke that I had missed those workouts, not because of actually the workouts, but because of what it meant to my ego and to my image and how he would view me, wanting to be the guy who follows through, wanting to be perfect. And I told myself, if I tell Luke, and I won't lie to you and say I considered not telling him and just going on, but that was something I couldn't make peace with. I told myself, if I tell him, I'll let him down. I told myself that maybe that will throw him off track on his progress with 75 Hard. I told myself that maybe from that point on, he's going to see me differently. And that wasn't the truth. I don't even know what his response is yet because I just sent him the text telling him that I had missed my 2 workouts. But the real truth is that I didn't want to be seen differently. I was protecting my ego. I was protecting what I felt was like a seat at his table. And it was my image. That's avoidance. That's not leadership. And this is what leaders do. This is exactly what leaders do. They show up where it matters, honestly, with integrity. They step into it and they show up and they have the hard conversation. So when tension rises within you, like it did with me with 75 Hard and Luke, you have three options. You can react. You can withdraw and avoid and procrastinate, or you can lead. And today I'm going to give you three decisions that will change how you show up in those moments. Decision number one, stay out of the noise, stay out of the ego, stay away from the tangents, stay away from the drama, get to the core. Like in my case, the core was my image and how Luke would actually view me. Kelsey, my executive assistant, our executive assistant, actually called me out on this recently based on one of our 7-Up meetings. I can get sidetracked in these meetings. We meet every Monday at 9:30. I layer issues instead of getting straight to the core, and it looks productive, but it's actually not. It's actually avoidance. It's actually not wanting to have the hard conversations. It shows up in these meetings as me talking about the same issue repeatedly and making excuses and blaming circumstances and blaming other people, blaming other vendors, blaming my own lack of confidence, whatever it may be, going to the emotional side, but it's not changing behavior. And that's not problem solving. That's drama. That's going on a tangent. That's avoidance. That's me not facing the core issue. And a lot of times it shows up as perfectionism and procrastination. It shows up as perfectionism and procrastination. Drama is often a substitute for real courage. So in your next meeting, ask, are we talking about the real issue right now? If not, interrupt that cycle. Pause with them and pause within yourself. Interrupt it. What's the real issue that we need to solve here? So I wrote a breakdown of how to have these courageous conversations, and I'm going to link in the show notes here to a blog post that I wrote maybe a year or two ago. Go ahead and check it out and read it if there's something you're avoiding. Decision number 2. As a leader, you are somebody who is mining, you're digging deeper for conflict instead of avoiding it. They're all looking at you to do this as the leader. And this is where most teams get stuck. Leaders don't address each other directly. People are frustrated, but they don't actually say it. And then they build resentment. And that's the way you build resentment. That's the way that you have long-standing resentment. Teams talk around issues based on performance and behaviors instead of talking through them and getting to the other side. I see this all the time. And when you ask people, when you recognize this, if you're the leader, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You can open up a door to having honest discussions. If you ask yourself that question, what are you afraid of? Why are you not having this conversation? Are you afraid of losing your seat at the table? Are you afraid of being excluded? Are you afraid of being judged? What are you afraid will happen if you address the core issue? Will you lose business at such a high level that you feel your life's going to fall apart and your business is going to fall apart if you address the core issue? Those are things to lean into. And when you tap into that emotion and you add truth to it and perspective to it through your team and other people's perspectives, it's going to change everything. People don't avoid conflict because they don't see it. They avoid it because it's uncomfortable, because it might require them to look at themselves and change. So when you need to address something and you know you need to address things, you know if you're honest with yourself because you've been avoiding it, say what you've been letting slide in that interaction, in that email, hopefully face-to-face as much as you possibly can, but it is appropriate at times to use other means. Be specific, share the impact. Don't let the expectation not be set in that interaction. Ask for their take, ask for their opinion, and listen. So I had a leader recently that had brought up to me a situation that they had avoided a number of different times. We walked through those 5 different points. Be specific. What is the issue that he was avoiding facing? Well, he wanted to face it with one of his leaders. But what is the issue that he wants, the behavior he sees in one of his leaders that he's not addressing? Share the impact that has on the team, on their communication, on the progress of the business. Share the expectation that you want to see changed. Ask for their take on it, and then listen. And then listen. And that may be the majority of the conversation, because you're getting them, and you're going to have to pause and be okay with those silent moments where the other person thinks, and in some cases is called on the carpet towards accountability, which is a way to help people. Accountability equals support. Accountability does not equal being mean. Most people avoid conflict not because they don't care. They avoid it because they don't know how. So when you feel that tension rising up inside of you, what am I not saying right now? Go ahead and say it. Say it clearly, be direct, and then don't over-explain, which is another pattern I see a lot of leaders falling into. They're trying to convince by over-explaining. Don't do that. Let it sit with them. Ask for what you want. Express what the behavior is, and ask them the question, how does that sit with you? What's your perspective on that? The third decision as a leader to make is to lead instead of reacting. Lead instead of withdrawing. When the tension rises inside of you, you really have three different decisions that you can make in that moment, and you're responsible for what you do. You can react by getting defensive, by arguing your point, by being overly emotional, by throwing your hands up in the air, by getting sucked into the drama. You can withdraw by avoiding, by making excuses why you can't meet, why you can't have that conversation, just shutting down internally, or being in the conversation and not actually engaging, not bringing in any hope. Or you can lead. You can retain your power by leading, by being clear, by being calm, and then by being direct. Leadership is not convincing someone that you are right. Leadership is being clear about how you're going to show up in that interaction. Walking on eggshells isn't a personality trait that you have or someone else has, where they just make you walk on eggshells. Walking on eggshells is your decision to get sucked into the drama, to go down that tangent. It's your decision to bring the truth out, to address the fear, to be clear, to be direct, and to engage. So when you're reacting or withdrawing, you're protecting yourself. That's your ego showing up. That's your self-protection showing up. Leadership is stepping out of that and recognizing that that is protection, that is my ego, that is my image, and choosing to lead anyway. Choosing to lead anyway. In those moments, ask, am I reacting? Am I withdrawing? Or am I leading? And then choose. Say what you actually want. Stay steady. Don't try to convince and over-explain. I see that with leaders. Sometimes they're afraid of actually even having these types of interactions because they feel they're going to get so emotional, because they feel that they're going to over-explain and get into a debate. But that is still their choice. That is them choosing to walk on eggshells in those interactions. But they have a different choice they can make. They can choose to be steady, to be clear, to be calm. They can choose to follow up when they don't get a response. Here are those three decisions again. So number one, stay out of the noise, stay out of the drama, and get at the core. Number two, mind for conflict. Be the leader who people know is going to get at the core issue. Don't avoid it. And number three is choose to lead, not to react, which is a choice as well, and not to withdraw. Choose to step into it and lead calmly and clearly. So here's the question for you, the listener. What's one conversation that you know you need to have right now? You already know it. You already know it because you're probably potentially complaining to other people about it, but not actually addressing it directly. You already know it because you're creating triangulation. You already know it because it's causing you tremendous anxiety, low-grade, under-the-surface anxiety. You already know it, but the question is, will you lead through it? Let me challenge you before you go. If nothing changes after this episode, it wasn't this content. It was your willingness to act on this content. So what are you avoiding right now? The conversation you're avoiding, the decision you're avoiding, the step you already know clearly that you need to take. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Don't wait for the perfect strategy. You decide. Because there's no positive change until you do. And your legacy actually depends on it. And it's being shaped by what you're choosing or what you are avoiding today. Decide, act, and repeat. Live the life today that you want to be remembered for. You decide your legacy, nobody else. You can't blame it on other people. I will see you next episode. And in the process, we're going to have episode for you, number 200. And if you found this content helpful, give it a rating and review on Apple or Spotify. Share it with your friends. Share it with somebody that you work with. That helps it grow organically. Super excited to launch number 200. We got something very special for you. I will see you then.